Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Jose Shorty Torres, the Titan FC Flyweight Interim Champion.
Hey, everyone, it's the champ, Yuri Navage.
Hey, this is Rafian Stott.
It's Bellator's Blair Tugman.
This is Bilal Muhammad.
Hey, guys, this is Ted Check.
This is Ronald, Choir Boy Stalin.
Hey, guys, it's Brennan Allen.
This is Joseph Correa, founder of Frontproof Media.
Hey, this is Ed Carbajal.
Daniel Zaldivar from Frontproof Media and Frontproof Media.
Frontproofmedia.com.
You're listening to
Pure
Evil.
MMA.
You're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
You're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
It's Sean Foster Strong, Rosa. You're listening to Pure Evil MMA.
What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to Pure Evil MMA. Good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning into episode number 37 of Pure Evil MMA from FrontProofMedia.com. I'm your host, like always, Evil Eddie, and I'm in the middle of a huge blizzard right now in New Haven, so hopefully we won't lose any power on this venture into the week of our MMA news and interviews. Make sure you guys give us a follow on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA, Facebook at Pure Evil MMA, Instagram at Pure Evil MMA. Doesn't get any easier than that. We got 2 UFC fighters stopping by to talk, and one of them was on UFC Houston. So get ready for today's show. It's going to be a fun one. We got some awesome MMA trivia. You guys been hot on that. A guest, Erin O'Brien AKA Duke from that movie Fight Valley. Charles, Boston Strong Rosa joining us today. Edward, the Ninja Massey, who's fighting Cromwell Stewart at VF40. We got some MMA news coming your way. And also, guys, ready for this one? We got Chas Skelly as well, who just beat Gritz at UFC Houston. Sit back, relax, and let's go. So starting today's show off, guys, I am in the middle of a blizzard, 1 foot of snow. You guys can actually check out my Snapchat at Blinks812. That's BLINKZ812. If you want to see what goes on here behind the scenes at the Evil Boy Studios, Pure Evil MMA, get to see Angie Jabs, the dogs, the rats. I know you guys been big on the rats. You guys even got to name one of them when we first got a couple of them. And her name's Frankie. You guys, who that was named after? Gee, I wonder. But I got a great show set up for everybody today. Some amazing guests. A star-studded lineup. I mean, the last couple of weeks we've been landing some amazing interviews. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to the PR team I work with as well. Erin O'Brien is going to be stopping by today with a pleasant surprise. We get to talk with her. She was just in a movie with Tara Rita as well. But you guys are probably familiar with her on that movie Fight Valley. He acted along Chris Cyborg, Holly Holm, Misha Tate, who played a great role in that movie. So we're going to be talking with her in just a little bit. That's going to be a fun one. Edward, the Ninja Massey, will be joining us today. He's going to be fighting Saturday, which is tonight, Cromwell Stewart at VF40. That's going to be going on at flowcombat.com. Also, UFC's Charles Boston Strong Rosa. We're going to be talking with him today. He's going to be fighting Shane the Hurricane Burgos, who was just on 2 weeks ago. Or no, he was on last week's show. I'm sorry. So you guys can go back and check out his interview as well. So we got to speak with him. And we're going to start today's show off with a really awesome interview. This is a first for me here at Pure Evil MMA. I get to speak with one of the guys directly after their fight for UFC. We're going to be speaking with Chas Skelly, who just beat Tough 22 vet Gritz, Brennan Gritzmacher. So that went down at UFC Houston. You guys know I actually picked Gritz to win that fight. My girlfriend was like, no. Chas got it here. I should have listened to her. So we get to talk with him and about his stance that he had. Everybody was talking about that. He was kind of just like going for a wrestling stance. And everyone was like, oh, this dude's being weird. I was like, no, come on. it's his wrestling stance. It got a quick little laugh out of everybody because Gritz kind of played along with it by putting his hands behind his back, like hanging back, enjoying it. Dana White got a quick laugh. You guys can check that out on YouTube. I'll post it on this YouTube page right here if you're listening. But first, guys, if you're listening to this on iTunes, Podbean, it would mean so much if you guys could subscribe down below. Leave a quick comment on iTunes. The way it works there, the way they really hook you up with getting you on the rankings and stuff like that, or promoting it, is by how many ratings you guys got. And we just started this new channel. We're off to a big start, getting almost 1,000 downloads in the past couple of weeks. So I really appreciate everything that you guys do. It really comes down to the likes on our Podbean page and also on iTunes. All you got to do is just give us 5 stars. And if you want to give us a quick review, that would be awesome. It would mean so much to me. I mean, you guys are awesome with commenting and engaging. It would really mean the world if we can get 5 stars. But no more of that. Let's jump into today's first interview with Chas Skelly. Well, this weekend. Check it out. Man, you had a wild weekend. Now, before we talk about any of your fight, were you able to catch the Super Bowl?
Yeah, actually, I'm in Florida, but I went down Sunday and did like the full experience down there, and then one of my good friends lives in Houston. He actually played for the Texans for a while, and I went back to his house and watched it with some friends over there.
Were you rooting for New England or are you ATL?
Well, I was rooting for New England because I bet on New England. And I was rooting for the over. I bet on the over, and they both hit in overtime, so it worked out.
Yeah, that was an amazing night. What does Meryl Streep know about what entertainment is? So let's jump right into your weekend that you had, man. Starting off from the weigh-ins, you had that stance that you had on Gritz. He wasn't ready for that, and got a good laugh out of the MMA community. What was going on there?
Oh yeah, I just hit him with a wrestling stance. Every now and then you gotta show a motherfucker you can wrestle.
Yeah. So going into that fight, man, the following night, Gritz wasn't really allowing you to get that choke in on you, and you were literally just laid in that squeeze. What was your thought process going in there? Because he was doing a pretty good job defending, not letting you get that second hook in.
Yeah, I don't know my thought process. I don't really know. My thought process was really to wear him down with a little more punches on the ground, but he did a pretty good job at, like you said, he did a pretty good job at, got bounced a little bit on the ground, like what I was staying on him and grinding him down, but, I really would have liked to have gotten in better position to land a lot of strikes and kind of keeping my hips offline there, so I couldn't do that. I probably should have switched it over to a wrist ride and started landing some shots until he opened the legs up for me. But I decided to go with attack the neck and get the other hook in. And what happened when I attacked the neck, get the other hook in, I attacked the neck and he looked into the choke. So it actually just opened up the choke for me, so I took it.
So what are you trying to do next? I heard that you're trying to get on that UFC 211 card.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'm going to give myself a few weeks to, just heal up from the things, from the little injuries you take during camp, and then I'm going to jump right back in it. Hopefully I'm in camp. Looking like, I'm hoping I get on that Dallas card, so.
Is there anyone that you're, specifically looking at, or are you just really, you got to just make your way up through the division until there's really no other shots to call out besides that title shot? You'll just take whoever they got for you?
Yeah, I'm not really looking to call anybody out specifically. I just want to fight.
Yeah.
I want to stay out, and I want to fight on that Dallas card in front of my hometown fans. That's really all I care about.
So last night, man, we were talking back and forth, and, you were looking forward to that dinner. You had to get ready for that fight, and I know a lot of fighters out there, their taste buds are waiting for for as soon as they're finished with that fight. What did you do immediately after the fight? Did you go out and splurge anywhere, like a giant $1,000 sundae or anything crazy?
I had a liquid diet. I drank beer. That's what I like to do. I like to go out and get
Are you like one of those guys that like the finer kind of beers, or you're just drinking the buds?
I like to try different beers, but yeah, I mean, I'll stick to the light beers and pound a bunch of those down, the night after a fight, just kind of kick back. But I like to try all different kinds of beers. I like to get around and try different beers in different places, especially when I'm in different cities. I like to go around the local breweries and try out some different beers. So yeah, it's always cool. It's always a good time for me. I like that.
Yeah, we were just talking with Paul Felder, and he always picks out like a certain beer that he wants after his fight that he's always looking forward to drinking. All fighters usually have like that guilty, or not guilty, but that special thing that they're always looking forward to after their fight.
For me, I usually want like a brownie fudge sundae because I'm fat. Not so fat people.
So you've been with the UFC since 2014, man. We got a lot of amateurs that like listening to the show. Sometimes if a fighter gets a loss under their belt, it's hard for them to find the motivation, to keep on going. Do you got any words of advice for any of the young guns out there listening today?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been doing it for a long time now. I mean, I guess there's a lot of words of advice I can give, but I think the most important thing, especially when you're coming up in the sport, is that there's so many ways to win in the sport, but there's also so many ways to lose. So, losing a fight or two is not the end of the world in the sport. It's not, it's not the end of your career. You learn from it, you keep improving. I think one of the most important things that I've learned throughout my career is that you have to truly take care of your body in this sport. If I would have known earlier in my career, I would have had a much better career. Because it's just now that I'm really dieting well, outside of the immediate after the fight. Talking about drinking beer and eating Sundays, but the truth of the matter is, when I'm getting ready for a fight and when I'm in the gym training full time, I eat right, and I consistently diet throughout my camp. I don't do the crash diets anymore. I don't do the crash cutting weight unless I absolutely have to, like if I'm taking something on short notice and I have to cut that water weight. I do it smart. I get my weight down and I make the weight cut as easy on my body as possible. But more importantly, or just as important as that, is that I hit recovery stuff after workouts. I hit ice bath. I do the cold to hot contrast, sometimes ice baths to hot tubs. I stretch, I roll out. I be sure I'm always doing movement drills for stretching, like stretching movement, like active stretching, and really just try to take care of my body. Constantly icing, and I'm constantly getting the rest and recovery I need after workouts. I like to go out and do stuff. I'm the type of guy that likes to have fun, but when my body's telling me I need a rest, I just rest and I recover. So I think that just more important than anything is take care of your body, take care of your mind, and work hard. Everything will fall in place.
So are you just taking the week off just to, relax, recover, and you're going to get right back into that gym?
Yeah, I went up to the gym yesterday and rode the bike and stretched out and I hit a swim today, just like kind of active rest. I'm not really working out hard, but I'm just staying busy a little bit because I've been eating terrible, so I just feel bad about myself. But I'm gonna take a couple weeks off here because I took some injuries during the camp and I really need to let those heal. I got my last 3 weeks of camp were really about going into the fight healthy more than anything. So I'm gonna try and let my body recover as much as possible here in the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I can jump right back in the gym and keep working hard. I'm actually going on vacation on Friday, so.
With the wife?
Yeah. Yep, it'll be a good time.
Yeah, man. I give so much respect to any woman or guy that can be in a relationship with a fighter because it's a selfish sport. You really gotta, worry about yourself a lot of the time. So when you got children and stuff, it really just changes the game for a lot of people. So definitely gotta treat them. So man,
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta ask you, were you able to catch the main event, Korean Zombie versus our boy Dennis Bermudez?
Yeah, man, I really like Dennis. Dennis came down. He trained for a week or so here with us a little bit, and I've seen Dennis in passing a little bit in the past, and I really like Dennis a lot. So, that was unfortunate. To be honest with you, my prediction was that Dennis was going to annihilate him, honestly. And he's good. Dennis is good. And it just, he got caught. He got caught with an uppercut. He was winning the fight. He got caught. But yeah, I saw it.
It surprised a lot of people, man, and I've literally had that zombie song stuck in my head ever since this weekend. I thought Dennis was gonna win myself, man. He's been looking better than ever, and I was surprised. I was worried about the Korean Zombie in the first couple of minutes of that fight. As we get towards the end of this interview, man, I gotta ask you one more question. This weekend, Jermaine Durandamine versus Holly Holm. We got a chance to speak with Jermaine, and she's such a lovely girl. So is Holly. I don't want to see either of these girls lose, but what do you think about this? Who do you think's gonna walk away with that historic 145-pound title?
It's really hard for me to make a prediction. I love predicting fights. It's like one of my favorite things to do. I'm a student of the game. I like to watch fights. I like to break down techniques, and I can't really make a prediction on that fight because I have never seen Durandamine fight. I haven't went back and looked at any of her fights. I've never seen her fight. So to make an accurate prediction, I wouldn't be able to just because I haven't seen her fight. But I will say I really like Holly. I think that she's a super nice person. I think she's anytime I don't really know her personally. I've seen her in passing and stuff, but in events or whatever. But anytime I've ever seen her or heard her interviews and stuff, she seems really nice, really respectful. And I'd hate to see her lose. So I'm pulling for her. And like I said, you said the other gal was super nice too. I haven't heard any interviews with her. I haven't seen her. I haven't met her. So, I don't necessarily have a prediction, but I would like to see Holly come away with it.
What about lastly, Anderson Silva? How do you think he's going to do in this fight?
I think Derek Brunson's gonna come with the pressure really hard and take him down and work that ground and pound game and work that top game. I'll watch Chael Sonnen with Anderson. Kind of something Chael Sonnen had a lot of success with, and I think I think he's gonna be able to take him down and kind of ride him out for a while. But there's always that chance of Anderson, catching him on the way in, and that's a really, really dangerous thing. Anderson's so good, so slick with everything, striking wise. His knees, kicks, his punches, and is it a 3-round fight or a 5-round fight?
It's a 3-round co-main event.
So, I could see Derek Anderson winning the decision there. If it was a 5-round fight, I don't know. I just feel like he's going to take him down and be able to hold him down. So, I think if Anderson gets 3 to 4 takedowns in the fight, he wins the fight. So, I think he'll be able to do that.
Well, I can't wait to find out what happens this week. And I want to thank you so much for coming on our show. And we like to hand the imaginary microphone over to you if you got any sponsors, any shout-outs, anything at all. The floor is all yours. We hope that we get to see you on that UFC 211 card, man. So, like I said, the floor is all yours at this point.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate everybody who supports me, my friends, my family. Everybody, they all know who they are. I don't have to name everybody. All the guys up here at Combat Club up here, Henry Houston, Greg Jones, Corey Peacock, and all the guys I train with, for putting in all the hard work and time. That's what it's all about. And Gilbert Burns, we're always grappling together and stuff. So just thanks to everybody who's helping me out, and I'll be back in the gym helping them out and keep moving forward.
All right, guys, so thanks to our first guest, Chas Skelly. Awesome talking with him. Love to get him back on the show. If he gets that fight that he wants, that would be awesome. You guys make sure to tweet at Dana White. We want to see Chas Skelly on that card. So quickly, let's recap UFC Houston before we jump into today's show. I'm not going to spend too much time on it because I did do the Monday morning UFC Houston banter right here on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube if you guys want to check that out. So I'm just going to talk about a couple of fights that really caught my eye. Starting it off, Khalil Roundtree walking out like a cold-blooded killer. A different Khalil Roundtree, not the one that we are used to. We saw the kind-hearted Khalil on that season Ultimate Fighter. He didn't really want to fight his teammate that he came into the house with, and it kind of cost him. He was a little tentative, was a little trigger-shy, and it cost him during that season. We saw him come out Saturday night looking like a changed man, a cold-hearted murderer, like I keep saying. Walks in there, his head was right, the walkout music was on point. Gets in the octagon, his opponent charges at him like he was freaking CM Punk going after Mickey Gall, and gets dropped by a vicious knee to the temple, and then another one to settle it all, right to the chest, dropping his opponent, walks off cold-hearted. Not a single smile seen on the face of Khalil Roundtree. It was a great way to start off UFC Houston. I'm very proud of Khalil Roundtree. I called it in the pre-fight show on the Odd Show to watch out for this kid, and he's a familiar face in the MMA scene, so I'm happy that he's starting to catch his vibe, find his head. Moving forward, there's a bunch of guys I would love to see him matched up with. Also on this card, that really surprised a lot of people. Angela Hill did a lot better than you guys thought she would. A lot better. People thought that Jessica Andrade was going to mop the floor with Angela Hill. This was a great fight, guys. Even though Angela lost every round, it's the perfect fight for Angela Hill to come into the UFC, and she didn't get squashed like everyone thought, but she's a different fighter than when she was last year. I saw a lot of improvement. Jessica Andrade is no joke. That was a very exciting fight. She was even trading with Andrade in there. A lot of fighters would shy away, try to back off up against the fence or the cage. Angela Hill was just, let's throw down. She was like, let's do it. Very exciting fight to watch there. She didn't win it, but I'm still excited to see what she's going to do next year. Andrade has actually promised the next shot at Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That's going to be an interesting fight. A lot of you guys are saying that, Joanna Jędrzejczyk might not be able to stop the flurry of Andrade. We'll see. We'll see what happens on that one. That's going to be interesting to break down. But we found out who is next to fight Joanna. Joanna had an amazing 2016, amazing 2015, and we can go back and back. This girl is the Anderson Silva, the George St. Pierre of that division. And she even wants to open up another division and be champion there. Do the old McGregor. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. I do believe that they will open up another division, maybe towards the end of the year or the beginning of next year. But it's definitely coming, guys. I was actually surprised they opened up this featherweight division. I was so surprised they did that over, a smaller weight class, like an atom weight class. But we're going to see what happens next for Angela Hill. Let us know what you guys think they'll match her up with on Pure Evil MMA on Twitter and Facebook at Pure Evil MMA. All right, guys, another fight that stood out to me there, Tecia Torres versus Bec Rawlings. I want to quickly run through that. Bec flicking off the crowd. My TV went black, blue, and purple for about 3 seconds, but they did not cut out the scene where we saw her flick off the crowd. People out there saying, oh, I don't like Bec Rawlings because of that, but yet it's the same freaking people that praise Anderson Silva, Nick Diaz, and freaking Dustin the Diamond when they're getting verbal inside the octagon. But you're not going to win fans by flicking them off, that's for sure. I love Bec, though. She did not win this fight. I didn't think it was going to be an easy matchup for Bec at all. That's why I lean towards Tecia. So congratulations to Tecia Torres getting every round in my book. Bec Rawlings started having some success when her coach was like, just go out there and street fight. Go out there like you're from freaking Fight Valley, like you're a knockaround girl, and just throw down with her. She was getting luck, and then Tisha just put a stop to that, and that was an exciting fight. You guys should definitely go check out Tisha Torres' profile because she's hot on Instagram. She posts a lot of amazing photos. Same with Beck, though. It goes both ways. Does this pull the steam out of Beck Rawlings, though? She has that knockout loss. Paige Van Zandt with the switch kick. Then this loss to Tisha Torres. Both two very dangerous fighters. Beck's fighting some of the top. What's next for Beck, though? I don't think she's going to get the pink slip like some of you guys have been saying on Twitter. Don't believe that. For Tisha Torres, though, it's like, who do you fight? Rosa Namajunas, we don't want to see that trilogy. We definitely don't want to see it, especially if it's not a title fight or there's nothing really behind it. It just doesn't do it for me. I don't know. It's up in the air there. She's at the top of that division. So we're going to have to see what she wants, see if she voices her opinion out. But congratulations to Tisha Torres. And then the Korean Zombie, how can we forget? All weekend I've been singing that song. Been getting yelled at by my girlfriend. Zombie, zombie. Come on, that was absolutely badass. So happy that he came back and finished Dennis Bermudez the way he did in the very first round. Brutal. Showing everyone where he got that name, Zombie. Just putting people to sleep. Dennis Bermudez, just to quickly talk about this, guys, a lot of people were saying that they did not understand why they were giving him the main event in Denver. They thought it was too much coming off a 3-year layoff. His last fight being against Jose Aldo. Boy, did he deliver. He proved all of us wrong. I was a little nervous at the beginning of that fight. Dennis Bermudez looked amazing. Great technique there. He looked sharp with the jabs, but got caught coming in. Zombie with the uppercut just drops him, put to sleep. Upset. But I actually got that pick, so I hope you guys were listening out there when I said if you're betting on the fight, don't put your $5 on the Korean Zombie because I don't want you to lose your money. This is a risky fight. But if you're picking on something like UFC Pickem, go for it. I like the Korean Zombie in this matchup. If we see the Korean Zombie that we are used to, and we don't really know what he was up to while he was away. So he looked good, and we are waiting to see what's next for him. Could you imagine him versus Yair Rodriguez? You guys want to see him versus Cub Swanson? I don't want to see that fight. I want to see Cub get a different matchup. No, it would be interesting. Max Holloway. Korean Zombie versus Max Holloway. And we're going to be getting into Max Holloway in a little bit in the news. He actually just got his next fight signed. I won't spoil it for you yet if you haven't heard, so we'll get into that in the news segment. Who do you guys want to see the Korean Zombie fight next? Let us know at Pure Evil MMA on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We got some winners to discuss, guys. UFC Pickem. Let's see who made the list. Minion, you there, brother?
Since 1993, MMA fighters from all over the world have gone into battle, shedding blood, sweat and tears to prove that they are worthy of holding the title of champion. At every UFC event, as the fighters throw down in the octagon for our entertainment, each hoping to validate that they are the best by someday having a UFC belt strapped around their waist. A second competition rages amongst the Pure Evil army for the right to lay claim to the prestigious Crystal Skull belt. For ultimate Pickem bragging rights over their evil brothers and sisters in arms. And this week, after climbing their way to the top of the Pure Evil ranks, the prominent honours of the Crystal Skull are awarded to
you, Minion. This is actually pretty funny because Minion, you are this week's winner, coming in first place, getting all of your picks right, man. Good job. In second, we got Max. Third, Dandy Dave. Fourth, Nick, NREMTB. Fifth, we got Chill Zone. Sixth, Disturbed MMA. Seventh, Posman, the Paz. 8, Yusef. 9, Salem. And 10th place, Leslie. If you guys want to play, all you got to do is message me on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA, and I will give you the link to join in on the league to have your name announced in the Pure Evil Army. Congratulations, guys. Congratulations, Minion. You are this week's winners of the Crystal Skull. All right, guys, so our next guest, I'm so excited for this interview right now. We got Duke. You don't know who Duke is? Well, then you maybe not have seen the Fight Valley movie. And if you haven't, guys, definitely go check it out. It's at Walmart. It's on demand. It's on Stars or Showtime. I'll have her tell you exactly where it is. But it's all over the place. She's alongside Holly Holm. She's alongside Misha Tate, acting alongside Caitlin Chukagian. She was one of the main actresses in this movie. Let's check it out. Our interview with Erin O'Brien, AKA Duke, from the Fight Valley movie. All right, guys, I got our next guest of the night, and it's a special one from the Fight Valley movie. We got Erin O'Brien. Erin, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, and I'm over here on the East Coast. It's getting really cold, but of course you're over there in California. How's the weather over there?
Even when it's not nice, it's still nice. It's like it was like rainy today, but it's still like the temperature's fine. Even when it's cold, it's really not that bad. It's great here.
So I also see that the Fight Valley movie hasn't debuted in Brazil yet, so that's going to be going next week. They're going to be making the debut.
Yeah, on the 9th. So we're super excited about that. And then Chris Cyborg is from Brazil, so she is like promoting it like crazy. So we're excited. It keeps coming out to new places. It was just came out on Showtime like a month ago. So it's still going strong. So that's good.
And we had so many fan questions as soon as I announced that you were coming on the show. And one of those questions is from our good listener Rusty out there, who wanted to know, what fighter did you have the most fun hanging out with on set or even off set?
We spent a lot of time with Holly Holm and her husband, actually. My boyfriend did the stunt coordinating for the movie, so the four of us went to New York on our downtime, did some exploring there. So we spent a lot of time with them, and then with me, actually with all of them, with Misha, Cyborg. We actually still like hang out with Cyborg out here. She lives in California, and she's amazing. We love her. So honestly, we hung out with all of them. It was great. Misha's in Vegas, so she's like not too far from us. So yeah, we keep in touch.
And you know what, Chris Cyborg, like at first glance, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I wouldn't want to mess with her," but she's like one of the nicest like girls out there.
She's so nice. She's amazing. We like adore her. She's the sweetest person ever, but I would never cross her.
And then you have Misha Tate, and I saw the photo with you next to her, and she looks like she's 10 times bigger than you, and she's a small girl, but she's in shape.
I'm tiny.
So what was going through your mind getting ready for this movie? Did you have any history of MMA before? Have you ever watched like UFC fights in the past with your boyfriends or anything?
I actually really like I like UFC. Like it's the one sport I can watch and I can be like excited and like not really have to. Yeah, like you don't have to know like there's like rules like you do with baseball and all that.
Yeah.
It's just exciting. People are beating each other up. To me, that's exciting. But no, I was a fan, but I didn't really. I had no fighting experience. I've done a little bit of fighting and movie I did called Jailbait, like fighting for the movie. But I was a little nervous before we started, so I did some jiu-jitsu training just to get ready because I really didn't know what they were going to expect from me. But that boosted my confidence a little bit. I didn't really use it. Like I did do some fighting in the movie, but just to be prepared and to feel like I was in shape. And I trained for like a month. Nothing crazy.
And for a lot of our listeners out there who haven't seen Fight Valley yet, it's all over the place. It's at Walmart, like you just said. They have it on Showtime now.
On demand.
Yep, it's on demand. It's literally everywhere. And if you haven't seen it yet, I totally recommend it. It's pretty much about like a young girl who found her sister. After she was in a fight, she dies, and she wants to end up coming back out of respect of her sister to bring justice to the killer. And like, did you read this role and you're like, oh my God, I'd be perfect to play Duke?
I didn't know who I was going to play. Like, I knew, like, I talked to Rob for a while, and I knew the director, and I was going to definitely be a part of the movie, but we didn't know who I was going to play. And then finally he's just like, well, who do you want to play? And I was like, honestly, I think I would love to play Duke. I like this type of characters. Like, she's tough. She's got definitely the sweet side, but she's like the good guy, I think, of the movie, one of the good guys. But she's like a tough, sweet girl, and I liked the little love story. I thought it was a sweet little romance between her and her girlfriend. So I was excited to play her, and then I got a couple little fights in there, so that's fun. I enjoyed her. I'm glad I played Duke.
Well, you actually got an upcoming movie that's coming out. It's like an anti-bullying movie, I'm pretty sure. That's also with Rob. We filmed that in October, I want to say. And actually, Jamie from Fight Valley is in that as well. The one who plays Jamie Cabrina. Directed by Rob again. We have Tara Reid in it as our main character. But it's a really cool movie. It's a horror movie, but it's like an anti-bullying kind of theme. So basically, I kind of make Tara pay for her character bullies people in high school and her family. She comes from a family of bullies, and kind of show her the error of her ways. But it's a really cool movie. I'm excited about that one. What was it like working with Tara Reid? She's a legend.
She was awesome. I was so excited to meet her. We like chatted on the phone because I was gonna try and like maybe get together with her because we were the only ones out in LA. Everyone else was on the East Coast, Jersey, New York. So we talked for a little bit before we flew out there, and we actually became good friends on set. We stayed at the same hotel, her and I, and we spent a lot of time together. We ran lines. We had a lot of scenes together. She was a lot of fun, but I was honestly really excited to meet her. But she's a sweet girl, and she's very professional, and I thought she killed it. I thought she did a great job.
As we're doing this interview right now, I got so many questions pouring in on Twitter. People wanted to know what was one of the first movies that ever made you cry. Like, for me, I think Jack with Robin Williams was like the first movie that really shed a tear. Like The Notebook, The Lion King. What was the first movie?
All Dogs Go to Heaven made me cry.
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
And there's another movie, the dinosaur movie,
Land Before Time. Yep.
Oh my God. They had me crying for like a good hour, and my mom was like, "It's a movie."
I love the girl Sarah. I think her name was Sarah in the movie, the Triceratops. She's like,
yes. Oh my God, it's been so long since I've seen it, but
then there's like that big goofy green one who's all slow and kind of goofy.
That was a good movie.
That was an awesome movie.
I'll rewatch that. It still makes me cry.
I still can't get over, the passing of Robin Williams. Over the past couple of years, we lost so many people in Hollywood, and somebody like Robin Williams that brings that edge of comedy out, and also is like tearjerker at the same time. It's a big thing in Hollywood. What are some of your favorite movies when you were growing up as a kid?
Speaking of Robin Williams, I loved that Popeye movie. I thought that was like one of the coolest movies. I love The Shining is one of my favorite movies. I love Legends of the Fall with Fred. It was one of my favorite movies growing up. What else? Oh, Scott Heathers with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. Classic, amazing movie. I love that movie. I like the 80s movies like Can't Buy Me Love. Actually, my first job was at a video store.
Really?
I worked there in high school I worked there all through high school, and all I did was sit there and watch movies. It was the best job ever.
That's something that you won't see anymore unless you go to like a museum, like see a Blockbuster rental.
It's so sad. No, it was the coolest job ever. And then we just started getting that because I'm kind of old. But we just started getting DVDs at like the midpoint of me working there, and I was like, no one's gonna ever buy these. But I was wrong.
You were born in 1980, so you got to see like all the best years of some of the classics.
I did. That's honestly what I did growing up. I watched movies and I just wanted to be in them.
It's like there's no real movies. Like when we were growing up as kids, there were like so many heartfelt, good lesson movies. Nowadays, I don't think they have that. I mean, there's a good movie that just came out about dogs. It's called That's Getting Everybody's Attention. It's like I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Job of Dogs or something like that.
A Dog's Purpose.
A Dog's Purpose. Have you caught that movie yet?
No, I mean my boyfriend and I are like big animal lovers. Like we have dogs. Like when we saw that video, that was a controversial video. It honestly turned us off to seeing the movie, which sucks because we did really want to see it. So now we're just kind of like we're not like protesting the movie. I mean,
no, there's a lot of people that twisted from that. But I heard that, all in all, it's a sad movie because you got to go through so many deaths. Like, I hate when I see an animal die in a movie. Like,
I know. It's awful. That's why all dogs go to heaven and the Land Before Time were so upsetting.
So now you were in the Fight Valley movie. I mean, what did you really learn, after, coming out of that? Did you kind of gain a new respect for the sport?
Oh, yeah. Those girls were just, amazing. I mean, when they did their fight choreography, I assumed they would be pretty good at it, but it's different than actual fighting because you have to, be sure that it looks real, but you're not hitting the person. So I was so impressed with how they handled the fight choreography. They were amazing, and anything that our stunt choreographer asked them to do, they were like, okay. And they're flipping each other, and granted they're super athletic, but it's it's all of their first movie, and they handled it like pros. Their dialogue they handled like pros. I thought they all did a great job. Cyborg looks badass as hell, I think. She looks great. But they all did a really good job, and Misha's getting tons of great feedback from it. I like to go on Twitter and see what people are saying, and honestly, everyone's been like, Misha, you rocked it. But Holly did a great job. They're all really good.
And it was kind of crazy because in that movie, Holly Holm actually gets choked out by Misha Tate, and it actually just happened right after the movie came out.
It was so funny because I was watching it at a bar with my boyfriend, and he was a stunt coordinator, and we were both like, "Oh my god, that's the move from the movie."
That's got to be interesting.
It's so funny.
That's got to be interesting dating a stunt coordinator. You do your stunts yourself as well, right?
Yeah, I don't do anything crazy. I don't light myself on fire, but he does that shit. But I do more low key. I do my own stuff. I'll do my own fight stuff, and I could take a fall or whatever. I'm pretty durable. but no, it's cool. It's because a lot of the movies that I do work on, he stunt coordinates, so we work really well together.
And also, you just got a new little puppy as well. Do I see that? Is it a mini poodle you got?
I call them puppies, but they're not really. They're just tiny. We've had them for a few years, but one of them's a rescue. She's we don't know how old she is, but she's a little bit older. Little white poodle. She's adorable and so sweet. And then the other one is 3.5 years, but they're so cute, and they're just easy dogs. They're lazy. They lay around and cuddle with us all day long. They're great.
My mom's got a mini poodle. He's so smart, and they love attention.
They're like little cuddle bugs. That's all they want to do is cuddle. They're the easiest things in the world.
So let us know a little bit about why you wanted to do this anti-bullying movie, because it's a big movement right now. I've talked with a lot of fighters out there, especially with social media nowadays. People just there's no filter there, and it's bothering a lot of children out there.
Yeah, I actually have 6 nieces and nephews, so it is a big concern. And talking to my sister or brother about them, sometimes they struggle a little bit in school, and it's heartbreaking. I remember what it was like. I had moments where I did get bullied a little bit. I think everybody did. But for the most part, I feel like I stuck up for people that were getting bullied. It's just a bad, awkward time in high school. I think. I mean, some people loved it, but it's awkward, and there's a lot of bullying out there, and even by parents and stuff too. And I think that's something we touched on in the movie. That's sometimes where it starts, and that's with Tara Reid's character in the movie. Her family bullies and pressures and pushes her, and that's kind of how the bullying begins there. So I think I like that we talk about that in the movie, because a lot of times that if you do get it from the parents. And yeah, social media is just a whole new beast. I could not imagine having Facebook and all that stuff in high school, because it's just a new way of people being able to say, horrible things. And I've gotten some strange messages. I think most people have on Facebook, where people are just too much or just say something disrespectful, and it's sad, but there's people out there like that in the world.
Well, as humans, it's we all want to be accepted. So anytime we hear anything bad about ourselves, even if it's criticism, we kind of get a little drawn. But people have been real nasty on Twitter and Twitter especially, and Facebook like that. And now with the younger kids, it's people that they're seeing every day, that they're picking on. And, one photo goes viral now and it can ruin literally a person's life. It's scary,
It is scary. Honestly, that would have crushed me. I don't think I would have been able to handle that. As like I said, we didn't have Facebook when I was in high school. But that would have crushed me. That's a tough thing to deal with.
And as we get towards the end of our interview here, Erin, I saw that you were just in Vegas for it's called Annie Up Autism.
Yeah, it's a charity we do for our friend Karina Jett. It's to raise money for autism awareness, and we go every year. My boyfriend also plays professional poker.
That's
so
awesome.
We go and,
sounds like a cool guy.
He does everything. So he's very well rounded. So we do a lot of these poker charity tournaments. So we go out to Vegas a lot. Every few months we go up and do a charity event, and he usually stays in and plays really well, and I'm usually out in 30 minutes. But they're fun, and we like to support.
Yeah, one of my cousins is actually autistic, and I know I'm a musician, but he picked the guitar up and he's out of control. It's
wow, that's awesome.
It's so artistic, it's amazing to see, and we're learning so much about it now. Back in the day, we didn't know much about it, so it's awesome seeing when people are doing these fundraisers and stuff like that. Because just in the past 15 years, it's amazing how much we found out about autism. So.
Yeah, it seems to be more common lately as well. At least that's what it seems to me.
And I want to thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA. We saw the movie. You did an amazing job. I actually saw you in 17 and Light. The Jailbait movie. You played a great role in that one. And the big premiere is February 16th at the Miracle Theater for your upcoming movie. Correct?
Yeah, One Penny.
One Penny, which is about homeless teenager. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's about this young homeless boy who basically is trying to find a way out of his situation and to help the other homeless people that he lives with to help themselves out of their situation. And I'm the female lead. I play his crush. He's a young kid. He's too young for me, but I play the crush in the movie. But it's a really good movie. I'm really proud of it, and I will be at the premiere. So hopefully people buy tickets, and if you're listening to this and you go and you watch it, we're going to do questions and answers after. But I'm really proud of it. So.
That's awesome, because I actually saw a little clip where the kid's actually being bullied, and you kind of came in and broke it up, and then you kind of both stared at each other for 5 seconds, and I could kind of see now why you're saying he's got a crush. So we're going to have to check it out. It's going to be premiering, guys, February 16th, and then it will be coming out shortly after that. So make sure you keep up with it all on Erin's page, Erin O'Brien on Facebook. And Erin, what we like to do at this point in our interviews, I hand the imaginary microphone all the way California over to you. And, if you have any sponsors, any shout outs, anything at all, the floor is all now yours.
Oh, I think I already did it. I hope people come to hear One Penny in DC on February 16th. We're going to do, like I said, a question and answer. The whole cast is going to be there. One of the cast members is a Broadway star now. We've got a play that's been on Broadway called Dear Evan Hansen. So hopefully everybody comes out and supports it. Again, I'm really proud of it. So.
Thank you so much for coming on. Have a great night.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This was fun. I'll talk to you soon.
Erin O'Brien for you guys. How was that? It was such an honor to talk with her. She has an upcoming movie with Tara Reid, a couple movies. So big year for Erin O'Brien. If you haven't caught Fight Valley, definitely go check it out. Like I said, it's at Walmart. You can order it on demand. Definitely go check it out. Cyborg's in it. She plays this serious role of just a killer pretty much. Literally. You guys got to go check it out. Moving forward, guys, you know what time it is. Time for some MMA trivia. Let's do it. So since I've been getting a huge response off this, a lot of you guys out there, it's your favorite part of the show. And a lot of you guys actually got all of them right the past couple of weeks, but I added a fourth one in. We had 3 questions. This week we're going for 4, and every week after. Maybe I'll even add a 5th one in. Let's see how this goes. And the way this works, if it's your first time listening to Pure Evil MMA, I'm going to read an MMA trivia question. It's either going to be multiple choice or it's going to be true or false. You got to find out which is the right answer, obviously. Let's jump into it. All right, first question. What is Miesha Tate's favorite dessert to eat after she fights? Is it A, a Tootsie Pop, B, a Twinkie, C, a cupcake, or D, a Hershey bar? I'll give you about 20 seconds to figure this one out. One more time. What is Miesha Tate's favorite dessert to eat after she fights? Is it A, a Tootsie Pop, B, a Twinkie, C, a cupcake, or D, a Hershey bar? Oh, 5 more seconds here. Well, if you guess A, B, or D, you're wrong. Correct answer is cupcake. Come on, guys. Her name is Miesha Cupcake Tate. All she wants is her cupcake blanket. All she wants is cupcakes after she fights. So the correct answer, guys, is C. Congratulations. If you got the first one right, you're starting your day off with a win. All right, true or false, guys? Has Dan Severn been in a fight with Forrest Griffin before? True or false? Has Dan Severn been in a fight with Forrest Griffin before? Give you about 10 seconds. Either true or it's false. One last time. Has Dan Severn ever been in a fight with Forrest Griffin? The correct answer is true. They actually did fight, guys. I bet you didn't know that. That was actually kind of a tricky one for some of you guys out there. If I'm wrong, let me know. And if you're 2 for 2 right now, you're killing it. Let's move on to question number 3. When was Ronda Rousey signed to the UFC? I'm interested to find out how many of you guys out there know this one. Was it A, November 2012? Was it B, February 2014? Was it C, November 2014? Or D, February of 2015? Again, question is, when was Ronda Rousey signed to the UFC? Was it in November of 2012? Was it in February of 2014? Was it in November of 2014? Or was it in February of 2015? Couple more seconds, guys. The correct answer is November of 2012. Ronda Rousey was signed into the UFC after she had that epic fight with Miesha Tate. Last question. If you're 3 for 3, you're on your high horse right now. Let's see if you can nail our 4th one. And if you do, make sure you tweet us at Pure Evil MMA. Let us know that you're the winner. I got a bunch of messages last week saying that you guys really enjoyed this and that maybe it's too easy. Check this one out. What fighter has had the most successful title defenses in the UFC? Was it A, Jose Aldo? Was it B, Chuck Liddell? Was it C, Anderson Silva? Or D, George St. Pierre? BSP. This is our 4th and final question, guys. I'll read it one more time. What fighter has had the most successful title defenses in the UFC? Was it A, Jose Aldo? B, Chuck Liddell? C, Anderson Silva? Or D, GSP? Was it D, GSP? George St. Pierre. 5 more seconds. Well, the brain buster, the 4th question. Correct answer is the man who is fighting for UFC 208 in the co-main event. Anderson Silva has the most successful title defenses. Not Jose Aldo, not Chuck Liddell, not GSP. Anderson Silva. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the MMA trivia segment. 4 questions. If you won, make sure you message me on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA, Facebook at Pure Evil MMA, and I'll send out a tweet for ya. Time for the news! Big news this week, guys. Everyone was looking forward to MVP Michael Venom Page versus Paul Daly. That was the big talk. That was the big hype. Well, Bellator and Scott Coker put together a press conference this week. We had no idea what was going to be announced. Well, the big news, guys, Rory McDonald gets his first fight with Bellator against Paul Daly. at at Bellator 174 in London, May 19th. That's going to be a huge fight for Bellator. They've been putting together huge cards lately, starting this year off wild. We got the Fedor Emelianenko fight coming up next weekend against Matt Mitrione. I want to know who you guys think is going to win that fight. This is an interesting one. A lot of people out there are pissed about it because they really wanted to see MVP versus Paul Daly. MVP even made a music video about it. Check this out.
Game over.
So there you go, MVP's message. I know it was a little blurry. It is like that on the actual tape. If you guys want to go check it out, it's on Instagram at MVP. You can go follow him there, or you can find it on his Twitter page at Michael Venom page. Go check it out. He made it original video for him, and guess what happens? They didn't sign it. Bellator could have rolled with it, but you know what? I'm happy that Rory McDonald got this fight. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I'm sure when it comes down to it, all of you guys are going to be watching. So Bellator putting on a great card next week and setting this one up for May 19th. So let's see what happens there. Yoel Romero, while we're on this whole Twitter war segment, I guess to call it, Yoel Romero makes a GoFundMe account to help cover Michael Bisping's medical bill after their fight. But the rumor is, guys, right now, if Anderson Silva wins at UFC 208, might jump rope him. Might jump rope him right up over Yoel, making Bisping versus Silva too. I want to see that fight. Yoel Romero, I mean, doing a great job promoting it. When he knocked out Chris Weidman, marching around, calling Michael, hey, Michael. Hey, Michael. And now you got this. Bisping shoots back by sending a picture of Yoel's infamous shit pants, where it looks like he literally went number 2 inside of the octagon in his pants. He claimed that was actually sweat, because he was wearing purple spandex, but come on. That looked gross. I don't know what to call that. And Michael Bisping definitely rubbed that in his face. What a term to use to close that one out. But yeah, Yoel Romero trying to make a big stink. I love Yoel, and I'm happy that he's actually enjoying himself now, and he was facing that 2-year suspension. Remember, last year we thought that Yoel got popped. But no. Yoel is very much healthy and around, even though Bisping doesn't think he's clean. So Yoel Romero makes a GoFundMe account to help Bisping in the medical bill. And a lot of you guys know Bisping has come out the other side of each one of his fights last year, looking worse than his opponent. The fight with Anderson Silva, he was knocked out in the freaking 3rd round. Came back. He could barely even see. His face was so swollen. He didn't really receive much damage in the Rockhold fight, but then the Dan Hendo fight, man, his face looked like a swollen balloon. Like he got stung 100 times by a bumblebee. Or bumblebees don't sting, but he had a swollen face. Looked like an allergic kid on peanuts. We'll see how that fight goes. Either Yoel or Silva will be the next one. World Series of Fighting. They got 3 titles on the line now, guys. David Branch says goodbye to World Series of Fighting. Also, Marlon Moraes and Justin Gaethje. That's 3 champions of theirs. 3 big names. I just watched all 3 of those guys actually fight at World Series of Fighting on New Year's Eve at MSG. Great experience. Chuck Liddell was there. Randy Couture was there. I met Nate Diaz there. Jake Shields fought. It was a great card. John Fitch retired right in front of us after his fight with Jake Shields. But David Branch, man, saying goodbye to World Series of Fighting. You got Marlon, who trains with Frankie Edgar over here on the East Coast. And then Justin Gaethje. I really wonder where or who's going to pick up Justin. How would he handle the UFC, the big show? He's got a crazy style. He's not afraid to get hit. Saw that in his last fight. He was the main event of World Series of Fighting. He always puts on great fights, guys. I've interviewed him before in the past. You guys can find that on YouTube. I'm interested to see who picks him up, because in our interview, when I was talking with Justin Gaethje, he told me that he doesn't think anyone could match what he's getting paid at World Series of Fighting. So maybe he's just trying to get a negotiation with Ray Sefo and everyone, trying to get that contract boosted up. Because right now, they need champions. You can't have 3 titles up for grabs. What is that saying about your company? It kind of worries me. I'm a huge fan of World Series of Fighting. I love the cards that they've been putting on. I'm a credentialed media member of World Series of Fighting. So, David Branch is gone now. Marlon's gone. You need somebody. Justin Gaethje could be the face of the company. They got a pretty stacked division there, so we'll see what happens. We've seen a couple of signings with World Series of Fighting. And there's a bunch of guys that just got listed off, or got not listed, but taken off of the UFC's roster. Listed as follows. Check this out. You got Lorenz Larkin, who would be a great fit for World Series of Fighting. I think it's a stupid idea for them to get rid of him. I don't know why you're getting rid of Lorenz Larkin. Brock Lesnar, of course, we could have guessed that. Bubba Bush gone. Chico Camus, Clay Collard, Cole Miller, Elvis Mupakchik, Erica Almeida, Eric Perez, Freddie Serrano. Let's see if there's any names on here that you guys might know. Marcus Brimage getting let go. Rick Story, the horror story. Maximo Blanco getting let go. Leonardo Augusto Leleco. We're going to go quite a few names here. And it doesn't mean that they'll actually let him go. It means that their contract is up for negotiation. So don't get nervous when I say this. I mean, besides Lorenz Larkin, who we've known this for quite some time now. I think going on maybe over 2 months since he's been a free agent, testing that market. But no news really on Lorenz. But when you got Brock Lesnar, well, we figured that. He's not coming back. Rick, the horror story, getting that loss against Cowboy. But he's still a great contender. He would be great under Bellator World Series of Fighting. Marcus Brimage, he's had a rough stint in the UFC, but he would be good matching up with some of the Bellator guys for World Series of Fighting. But we got all these guys out. Cole Miller, geez, I hope they re-sign some of these guys on here. As of right now, those are the list of characters, or fighters I should say, that are no longer on the UFC roster. Maybe their contract's up, they got to renegotiate. We'll find out. I'll keep you guys updated. And if you want to get updated all week with MMA news, make sure you guys are following us at Pure Evil MMA on Twitter and Facebook. And also, my website, guys. Come on. If you guys aren't going to frontproofmedia.com to check out the latest in MMA, you're missing out. We cover the most important news going on in the sport. Also, my MMA news. Check them out as well. There's a lot of great websites out there that are covering the sport, not just SureDog. Show some love to some of the smaller websites. Front Proof Media. Check it out. All right, moving on in the news. JDS vs. Stipe 2 set for UFC 211 in Dallas for May 13th. The last fight going down in 2014 was epic. It was so close, guys. JDS actually won that fight. Stipe is now the champ. You got Kane, you got Verdum on the sidelines. Verdum's got an upcoming fight, actually. But Kane is on the sidelines. Derek Lewis making his way up. Francis Ngannou making his way up. I'm excited for this division. And this is going to be a great fight, especially if JDS looks the way he did in his last fight against Big Ben Rothwell. He was back with the foot movement. Amazing jab work. Stipe, though, he's on another level. You guys already know my take on Stipe. He's really performing to the top of that you're really ever going to see in Stipe's career. We've been watching him for a while now. I mean, I remember when I watched him get knocked out by the skyscraper, and I was like, oh man, that's a big dig. But ever since then, Stipe really came back strong, getting that fight against Verdum in Brazil, knocking him out cold in the first round. Then he gets the fight with Alistair Overeem. Found a little trouble in the first part of that fight, but clears it with a clear KO over Overeem, who was kind of running away from him. that was kind of a weird fight. You could say he was resetting, but he was clearly running and just trying to catch Stipe off. And Stipe caught him, dropping over him. So now we got JDS versus Stipe. Both fighters got respect for one another. So interesting first round. I think that's probably going to end by the second round, guys. So that is set for UFC 211 in Dallas, May 13th. Mayhem Miller. I know we got a lot of Mayhem monkeys listening in. I've actually interviewed him before. You guys can check that out on our YouTube page. But he was cleared for his domestic violence charges from back in 2013 out in Orange County. Let me pull it up for you guys because this is actually pretty funny. You got to hear this. This is inside the courtroom. Check this out.
The sex life you're going to hear about, they exchange photos, you're going to see some pictures. They're known in the colloquial, pardon me, as dick pics. There's naked pictures of Mr. I'm not going to show those to you, but you're going to see pictures of Mr. Miller's penis in this case. They have a provocative sex life, threesomes, other women, sex parties, rough sex, choking, peeing, golden showers where somebody gets urinated on. They have some of that night. Mr. Miller urinates on her in the shower. He pees on her.
Simply the best.
In this interview, they actually zoom in on Mayhem Miller, and as he's like, they pee on one another and they have hardcore sex. He's like sitting there like, yeah, I do. Oh yeah, what a night that was. That's the expression on his face, and his lawyer's just sitting there like, oh, do we really have to be so, do we really have to paint this picture like this? Totally hilarious. You guys got to check that out on YouTube. Mayhem Miller, always up to some stunts. Love him. We're going to try to get him back on the show soon, guys. He's got an upcoming fight in Poland, so we're going to see what he has to say. When I talked with him, he was looking good. He, there's a lot of people out there that lost a lot of respect for Mayhem, but I'm giving him another chance here. I really want to see what he can do in this upcoming fight. He seemed like he was serious, had his head well-rounded, training. I've been keeping up with all of his videos. He's got a huge following. He was a big face in the MMA scene growing up for me. At his poster on my wall. Don't like seeing fighters or anyone for that matter going down the path that he was kind of going down. Really threw me off. And after talking with him and seeing where his head's at, he finally got this court case behind him. Time to move forward. I would love to see him win this fight. He better freaking make weight. Better make a weight on this one. I told him to behave himself, like I always tell you guys. Sure he behaved himself. He said, I'll try. Love Mayhem. If you guys want to check my interview with Mayhem out, it's on our YouTube page at Pure Evil MMA. Also, lastly in the news, guys, WWE star Paige considering joining the MMA scene here. Are they going to give her the royal treatment though, like they are for CM Punk, like they did for Brock Lesnar? Well, it's not as big of a draw as Brock Lesnar was, or even CM Punk. I know he's got quite the following, but I think Paige would do amazing, actually. She's been, I don't know if you guys know much about Paige, but she's been in the scene since she was a little girl, training and stuff like that. So if there's anyone in the WWE that I think would do a good job, or I'd actually am interested in seeing, it would be somebody like Paige. It would be Paige. So, we'll keep you guys updated with those rumors. What do you guys think about that? Is this just ridiculous? Everyone just wants to say that they're going to try out for MMA to think they're cool. What's your take on it? Let us know at Pure Evil MMA. Let's jump into our next interview, guys. We got the Boston Strong, Charles Rosa, joining us, who's fighting against Shane the Hurricane Burgos. We spoke with him last week on episode number 36 of Pure Evil MMA. Let's see what Charles Boston Strong Rosa has to say about their upcoming fight. What's going on, Charles? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA.
Hey, what's up, brother? How's it going, man?
It's going awesome, man. How have you been, brother? Because, it was a crazy weekend with that Super Bowl and all.
Oh, man, I'm pumped, man. That just got me more motivated, man. It was awesome. Just, to see the comeback of the Patriots was epic, man, And I was definitely sweating for a little bit, though,
Definitely, and it was more of a fight. It was like the perfect sports game in the sense that you know, you're coming back from really thinking that you can't come back, and then you end up winning the Super Bowl the way they did. It was just absolutely unbelievable. I saw your little Snapchat video of you getting all pumped up about that. Really quick, before we start this interview, before we get too deep into the interview, you got this upcoming fight against, Shane Burgos, who we just had on last week on the podcast. Man, what are you doing to get ready for this fight?
Yeah. All right. Just real quick. So this podcast is for Pure Evil MMA.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Cool. All right. I was just making sure. So, all right. Yeah. No, but because I didn't know, because like 2 other people messaged me, so I was like, I didn't know which one it was. But I found out 2 weeks ago. I've been waiting a long time to fight, man. I've been on the shelf for a year. You know, they keep telling me the UFC keeps telling me every couple months I'll be ready. But I got this fight for against Shane Burgos, and I think it's the perfect opponent, perfect time. I've been off a little bit of a layoff, but it's always been my dream to go into to fight in Boston, New York. Everybody knows the rivalry of all the Boston and New York teams. So I think this is going to be the first one to spark it. I mean, I don't think a Boston guy has fought a guy from New York yet. In New York or in Boston. I'm sure it's happened in the UFC, but not in New York or in Boston. So I think I'm looking to get a little rivalry going. Maybe start taking out a bunch of New York guys.
Yeah, we got to watch out about that. I'm from Connecticut, man, so I know that rivalry very well.
Yep.
And growing up here on the East Coast, man, were you a fan of the Patriots this whole time, or were you more New York Giants? What were you?
Yeah. Nah, man, of course, man. Ever since I was a little kid, I've been a fan of the Patriots. I remember being like a little kid when Drew Bledsoe got injured and they put Tom Brady in. He was the backup quarterback, and he ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. And obviously, ever since then, like, I've been a diehard Tom Brady fan. And I think it's kind of the perfect role model as a kid. I mean, Tom Brady was one of the guys, like, one of those role people that you look up to, like one of the people that like you look up to as a kid. And Tom Brady, he's a man, So I think he was a good role model, a good idol for me as a kid. It's cool that he's still doing this thing now.
Yeah, man, we had a great weekend here, and to top it all off, man, a couple of your teammates got to fight this weekend as well, like Tisha, Price got to fight. So, were you able to watch any of those?
Yep, yeah, I watched the whole card, man. I actually was really excited about Tisha. I actually came up fighting on the local circuit with Nico a little bit. We fought on Fight Time, a couple of the same fights, same cards. He was, I got the UFC before him, but I'm really happy to see him doing his thing. And then Tisha, of course, me and Tisha go way back, man. Me and her fought on the amateur card since our first amateur fights, and we used to always have a little contest to who had more amateur belts. I think we both ended up with like 7 or something at the end. But me, she was like, it was always cool to see her doing her thing, and then we both made it into the UFC at about the same time. And for our fight that weekend, I was really excited because I got to work with her a little bit. She took me aside and asked me a little bit of some jiu-jitsu stuff, and I'm always glad to help her. And she actually implemented some of it in her fight. She actually almost got the rear naked choke, which I was pumped about. But she did great, man. She looked great, and I always know that she has it. Works really hard, and she got the win. So our team's looking good, and everything. It was good to see both my teammates get big wins.
And what about that freaking main event, brother? The Korean Zombie going in there after three years out of the octagon. Did you think he was going to win that?
Yeah, man. I mean, that was one of those ones I probably wasn't going to bet on. I didn't know. I just kind of looked at it. I was like, man, I know Bermudez is tough. He's tough as nails. He's a great wrestler. I knew Korean Zombie had, like, that good jiu-jitsu, but I didn't realize, like, Zombie had that type of power, man. To go in there and do what he did was impressive. Definitely, respect to him. It was a great performance.
So you've been really buckling down, getting ready for this upcoming fight. I saw you've been pretty much traveling the world. You were just in Thailand?
Yep, yeah, man. I've got to go to some really cool places since I've been laid off. For the last year for the fights. But I really haven't missed a step. I've basically been in training camp for a full year. So that's why I think this is going to be a great fight because I haven't stopped improving. I don't even look at it like being off of work because I was still working the whole time. I was working. It just made me hungrier and hungrier. I had the opportunity to go to Holland to work with the Dutch in some kickboxing. I was there for 2 months. And then I even got to go to Italy for 2 months during that time just to see some of the world. But I still got to go to Alessio Sakara's gym and train some jiu-jitsu, and it they were surprisingly good. You know, usually when you go to other countries, you feel stuff out, and they have pretty good stand-up, but Italy, they actually had some good jiu-jitsu, and then from there, I went back, got to go to Boston for a little bit, went to a couple weddings, and and then, you know, once a couple fights fell through, the UFC called me for 3 short notice fights in that period that I was off, and I accepted all of them, but none of them ended up going through for whatever reason. It just didn't happen, and you know, I accepted them, thought I was fighting for 2 days, and then, you know, basically, I mean, a little funny story. I was in Italy. I was literally eating a piece of pizza in Naples. I was in Naples with my little brother sitting down at the dinner table, and I get a call. I open my email. I get an email by Ryan Hall on, like, you know, 2 weeks notice in somewhere, and I said, all right. I literally put my pizza down, tied my shoes, and ran away from the dinner table and started running around the city of Italy just to try to get safe, you know. And 2 days later, I found out it didn't happen. But my point is, yeah, man, I've been training hard, and then after that, I got to go to Thailand, which I think was the best vacation experience training camp of my entire life. So now I'm back at American Top Team, you know, my home. So getting ready for this next one, April 8th against Shane.
I mean, that would have been an awesome fight, Ryan Hall. He coming off that win against Gray. I mean, you know, I would love that fight, man. And, you know, something that I wanted to ask you, you had that close split decision fight against Yair Rodriguez, man. You know, would you ever want to get that fight back to get that win?
Yeah, man, that one eats at me every day. I mean, I've watched it. I've watched it hundreds of times, and, you know, I always think I won every single time, and I always think, you know, maybe at the end they're going to say something different, but they don't. You know, so that's one of the ones that eats at me. I mean, I lost a split decision, you know, to Yair Rodriguez on, you know, in Mexico against Mexican. You know, obviously the fans were against me. Everything was against me. I walked out with my American flag, you know, and, man, they said split decision. I was like, man, it's going to be tough to get this one. I thought I would get it, and it didn't go my way. But, you know, I went in the back, you know, talked to Dana White. You know, he gave me the bonus, and he told me if I fight like that, I'll never have, you know, I'll never have a problem, you know, fighting in the UFC. I always have a job for him. So, you know, that made me feel a little bit better getting the bonus. But, I mean, I would give all that money back for that call to go the other way. So, I mean, that's one that I want back. And hopefully, you know, in time, if I can win these next couple fights in a row, I can get back, you know, top. And, you know, if he's still there, then we'll cross paths again. And, you know, I'll be able to get my vengeance.
You know, as we close towards the end of this interview, man, I did see that you're training with JDS as well. How's that going, brother? That must be an awesome experience.
Oh, Jorino Santos? Yeah, it was funny. The other day, actually, we didn't even have a partner in jiu-jitsu class, so we partnered up. But, yeah, man, he's a really fun guy. Always, you know, always happy, always up there. And, you know, he's a good guy. He brings good charisma, good spirit to the team. So he's a great person to have around. He's obviously, you know, former world champion. So it's always good to get to work with people like that. That's the advantage of training at a gym like I train at. I get to train with the best guys on the planet.
One of the baddest men on the planet, and also soon-to-be father as well, JDS. So congratulations to him, man.
Yeah, definitely, for sure, man. We got all the guys in the gym. They all got babies, so, you know.
So as we get to the end of this interview, my last question to you is, this weekend there's a big upcoming fight against Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durandamy. I talked with Jermaine. She had nothing bad to say against Holly Holm, and I'm sure Holly had nothing bad to say about Jermaine. And I really don't want either of them to lose. It's an amazing opportunity. But I got to ask you, man, you know, how do you see this fight going?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure. I haven't seen much of Jermaine. I see her credentials in kickboxing and stuff like that. But, you know, I know Holly Holm has the same type of credentials. So I really just see, you know, it being just a back and forth technical battle of stand-up. I mean, I think, it'll probably go the distance, and whoever really wants it more is going to get it. So, I mean, I can't really say who I think is going to win, but, I mean, I think it'll be a good matchup.
And what can we all expect for your upcoming fight at UFC 210 against Shane?
And you can expect a guy that's been in training camp for a year and a half. I mean, I haven't stopped getting better, and I'm going to come out on fire, and I'm going to show the world where I belong. You know, my only 2 losses are both against guys that are top 10 in the world. One of them against Dennis Seaver that was my UFC debut. I took on 5 days' notice in Stockholm, Sweden, flew across the world to fight him on 5 days' notice when I wasn't even in the UFC yet. He had more UFC fights than I had fights at all overall. And, you know, I mean, I got fight of the night in that one. It didn't go my way. And then the other one, a split decision loss to Rodriguez, which I thought I won that fight. And you can go ahead and watch the fight. And, you know, I mean, you know, tell me what you think. But, you know, now he's on fire. He's pretty close to a title shot. So both the guys that I fought that weren't there, you know, I beat them both pretty decisively. You know, Kyle Boshniak at 30-27 them, beat him all 3 rounds, and then I submitted Sean Soriano. So, I mean, I know where I stand. I know where I belong, and I haven't stopped getting better. So you're going to see the best of me coming April 8th in UFC 210.
Thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. I really appreciate it. What we like to do at this point in the interview is I hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If you got any shout-outs, any thank yous, sponsors, anything at all, boss, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, for sure, man. I just want to shout out my family. I always like to do that. My mom and dad, my sister Teresa, and my little brothers Lucas and Francis. You know, I know they'll probably be listening in. And, you know, definitely want to thank my team, American Top Team, and, you know, all my people in Thailand that took care of me and people in Holland for this camp. You know, everyone, you know, you're going to see a brand new Charles Rosa on April 8th, so definitely tune in.
Have a good night, man, and best of skills come to UFC 210.
All right, thanks for sure. And if you guys want to catch me on Twitter, you can follow me at Charles Rosa MMA on Instagram or Twitter. And, yeah, you guys can, you know, stay updated with my latest feed, training sessions and stuff like that. But, hey, thanks a lot, brother.
Hey, man, what's your Snapchat really quick for everybody?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my Snapchat's good, too, if any of you guys want to follow. I actually still work 1 day a week as a chef, so, you know, if you guys like food and fighting, you can check me out on my Snapchat. My Snap code is Charles Rosa, JWU, and that's a school that I graduated from, Johnson Wales University, and it was in Providence, Rhode Island. So if you want to catch me on Snapchat, Charles Rosa, JWU, all one word, you can add me on there and, you know, follow my journey to UFC 210.
Well, best of skill, brother. Good luck.
All right, thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate it.
I hope that was a pleasant surprise for everybody on this episode of Pure Evil MMA. And for all of our supporters out there, you know what time it is now. Well, it's the time that we crown our members of the week. Let's hit it.
The Pure Evil MMA army is taking over, uniting fans, followers, MMA fighters and elite evil family contributors from all over the world. And this is a call to all MMA fans. Your opinions count and we want to hear from you. Use hashtag PureEvilMMA on Twitter or leave a comment on any video or article on the Facebook page or YouTube channel. Find your voice and come join the ranks of the Pure Evil MMA army. Like these soldiers of the week, ready to receive a shout-out salute from Evil Eddie himself.
So this week, a lot of you guys are engaging with us. It's very hard for me to pick member of the week, but it's going to Brian Bates. It's going to Sheila Bartram, Ann Hill, Tammy Farr, Nick, and Sammy. You guys are our members of the week. Congratulations. If you want your name announced on the next episode of Pure Evil MMA, all you got to do is engage with us on Fight Night, retweet some of our comments, anything. Just talk with us, and you could be member of the week next week. Congratulations to Brian Bates, Sheila, Ann Hill, Tammy Farr, Nick, and Sammy. You are this week's Pure Evil MMA winners, members of the week. So our next interview is with Edward the Ninja Massey. He's going to be fighting tonight for Valor Fights 40 and be headlining the card. Let's check it out. All right, guys, we got our next guest of the night. We just spoke to his opponent. Now we're going to speak to him, Edward Massey, the Ninja, who's going to be fighting Valor Fights 40 coming up in the main event. He's got a 3-0 record right now, trying to make it 4-0. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. A little rainy here on the East Coast today. Getting ready for some snow. But other than that, man, a wild weekend. I mean, starting things off, bro, did you catch that Super Bowl?
I really didn't, honestly.
You're not a big football fan?
No, I'm not really a big football fan. I've seen the ending of it, though, but I'm not really much into football.
What about the Korean Zombie getting that amazing win over Dennis Bermudez?
Yeah, I watched that. I did watch that.
So are you a big fan of watching the fights as well? Because I know there are fighters out there that are like, I get enough of it during my everyday life.
Well, the way I see it is this is going to be your life, and this is going to be the sport that you're in. You always got to be aware of the competition that's out there. So always keep up to date with the new guys coming in and the veterans.
So you're going to be fighting Zach Cooper, and, our listeners just got to hear from him, man, and he's ready for this fight. I know that, you guys are going to be brawling in the main event, and he really has nothing but respect for you, man. I mean, what do you know about Zach, and, what's something that you like about his style of fighting?
I got the most respect for Zach, too. He seems to be a pretty cool guy. It is, from what I see about his fighting, I see that he moves really well, and his grappling didn't seem all that bad either, and it just seems like he just really gives in there. He really gives it his all, and I'd definitely be ready for that too.
So something interesting that I was talking with him about, and I see on your Facebook page as well. Of course, I got to do my stalking. We got to talk about something, and I saw that you guys like to post food a lot. I mean, are you got a big sweet tooth or what, brother?
What did you say, sir?
You got a big sweet tooth? I see that you got like a lot of food posts out there. One that I saw on your Facebook page that caught my eye was the slutty cheesecake bars that you posted, like the Oreos, caramel. They look bomb, man.
Yeah, man. Really into food. Right now, I'm actually, I'm in the process of cutting and everything, so I'm not really much into it right now.
Yeah, of course.
But those are definitely some ideas after I get done with this fight.
Yeah, he's actually going to like a donut shop or something after his fight. Do you have like any religions going into fights though? Is there anything that like you do every time you step in for a pro fight, something you did as an amateur, or like any good luck charms or anything like that, or you try not to believe in stuff like that?
Not really. I really don't have much religions or anything, or anything that I do before a fight. Really, it's just basically just a regular day to me. I don't really get nervous about doing this stuff anymore. It's just pretty much just living the dream from there, Like once you were made to do something, or just kind of just up and just do it.
Well, I mean, like in the fact of like getting your haircut done by like the same guy every time you go in for a fight, or always wear like a certain sort of shoe or something like that. Do you have any like superstitions at all?
No, not really, man. I can't really say it's. I do. I mean, every now. I mean, I pray before I go in. That'd be about it. But other than that, it's more of just praying, just not to get hurt. That way I can get back out there and do it again.
Yeah, we just saw that brutal fight with Curtis Blades, who I got to speak with on Sunday night, and he really messed his opponent Adam Milstead's knee up, and it's awful when you see somebody, that could potentially be out for up to like 18 months on an injury. You never know what's going to happen when you step in there.
Especially when they're a good guy too. When they're good fighters and they have to be out at a certain time just due to an injury or something. I was a victim of that at one point too, but I recovered from mine.
What'd you get, an injury?
Yeah, it was at the early end of my amateur career. It was actually the reason I took like two of my losses was I blew my knee out in the middle of the fight, and me not knowing how to take a rest from it all, I just kept on going and it just kept happening. So.
Yeah, in high school, I actually tore my meniscus, and if we got listeners out there that like don't know what that is, you're like, knee literally makes a popping noise. So ever since then, I get like kind of squeamish. So does that like kind of bother you like in practice at all, like in your head, just like?
It used to. I honestly did. It used to, like with the whole sometimes of having to shoot on news and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like that stuff used to bother me. It used to make me squeamish, but after I finally got it in my head that, okay, it's fine, and I just more forced myself to get out there and do it, and now it doesn't bother me at all. It's actually the reason why I have been more successful as a pro. I didn't say I didn't have a successful amateur record. My record as an amateur ended up as 11-5.
Yeah, I saw you had a lot of amateur fights.
But it's been the reason why I've been more successful as a pro so far, because I actually took that time to rest and I did the therapy and I got back in there and I just got back at it and did it the right way this time.
Did they make you do any like electric therapy where they shock your knee? 'Cause they did that with me.
Yeah, I did do that. My house will have one of the little electric therapy things here at my house. So.
Oh yeah.
It's like a miniature one.
So, man, moving forward, your last fight was in November. So, who have you been working with to get ready for this fight?
My last fight was in November against Ace. He was a little bit of a different style fighter than Zach Cooper is. And basically, I've just been working with. My main coaches usually. Jesse Davis, me and him been sharing. Even though right now he's in Cali, me and him been sharing things back and forth. Knowledge. I've been actually studying a lot more of things I can add into my game that could actually possibly help me with this fight. Basically, just working with my coach Ron Daly, Mike Merriman, and getting a lot of extra work in with the guys. I've been doing probably about 3 a days, 2 a days. On top of coaching now too. So when you're coaching, you're always looking for new things to teach guys. So sometimes you have to learn it yourself. So that actually helps out too.
My listeners are always making sure I ask every fighter this because they're big on it. I mean, do you got Instagram? Do you got Twitter?
Yes, sir. I have Instagram. My Instagram name is Edward the Ninja Massey Official, and my Twitter is @Massey Edward.
So the Instagram is Edward the Ninja Massey, so your whole name pretty much.
Yeah, official.
And what can everybody see on your page? What do you post pictures of you training? Pictures of you drooling over food, waiting for Sunday night, or what?
Yeah, there's a lot of training footage. I try to keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah.
It's my fight page, so I post things of training, things like my dog. Pretty much the things that mean the most to me.
Before we let you go, man, the last question that I got to ask you and everyone on today's show is, we got UFC 208 coming this weekend, Anderson Silva up against Brunson, but the one thing I got to ask you guys is, what do you think is going to happen in that Holly Holm fight against Jermaine Durandamy? I spoke with Jermaine, and she is so happy to get the chance to fight for the shot, and I'm sure Holly is too, and I don't want to see either of them lose. It's going to be an amazing fight. Who do you got?
I got Holly Holmes if she can pull her mind together for it. Like you said, I don't like to see either one of them lose either. But I'll have to. I'm a fan of Holly, so I'll have to go with Holly Holmes.
It's hard to see Holly lose 3 times after being undefeated in the UFC, having that great streak. Now she has a chance of a lifetime, so we're gonna have to see what happens come this weekend, man. We're looking forward to your fight for Valor Fight 40 up against Zach Cooper. Thanks for coming on Pure Evil MMA. What we like to do now is hand the imaginary microphone over to you if you have any sponsors, any shout-outs. The floor's all yours now, brother.
Yes, shout out to my sponsors, Father's Barbecue, Black Cat Tattoo, Blackout Fight Gear. I'm always a big part of the Blackout family. Just Hard Apparel, my gym, SSS Submission Academy, and that'd be it.
Thank you so much, man, and good luck at your fight. Best of skill.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we got our next guest of the day. He's got a fight coming up this weekend, this Saturday night for Valor Fights 40. Cromwell Midget Dynamite Stewart joining us on the show today. What's going on, Cromwell?
Hey, man, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing awesome. Preparing for a big blizzard here, and I'm on the East Coast by New York. So I got my little sister here. We're gonna watch Netflix all night, and preparing for all your guys' fights this weekend. I know that you got an upcoming fight this Saturday night, and I actually interviewed your last opponent, Sawyer Rich, last year. So we're looking forward to this upcoming fight, man. What have you been up to getting ready for it?
Man, just training hard. Working with a lot of guys that have fights coming up. You know what I'm saying? Like my gym, we got a lot of fights lined up. We got about 4 guys fighting on this card, and then we got some guys fighting in March. So big camp. So we had a lot of guys there. So I had a lot of bodies.
So you've been with the same gym the whole time that you've been training MMA, right?
Yes. National MMA.
So you started in high school, correct?
No, I started wrestling in high school.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I wrestled in high school, then played football in college, and then you know what I'm saying, played a little professional football overseas, and then just got into get into the fighting the life.
Can we put this this debate to rest here? In high school, the big debate is the football team has the harder practices, or is it the wrestling teams? Which being on both sides, man. What do you think's harder, football or wrestling training?
Oh, definitely wrestling.
Wrestling,
It's
right?
Not even close. It's not even close.
I stood in for one day. I was on the football team. Everyone was like, you don't even know what we go through in the wrestling for practice, man. I almost threw up in the middle of the practice. You guys, that was crazy, man. So when I let all of our listeners know that you were coming on the show, they had to know where you got this name from, Midget Dynamite. Where did that start?
It came from I had a couple childhood friends, man. They gave me the nickname because growing up, I was a kid who got into a lot of fights. So you know what I'm saying? And I was never fighting guys my size. So I mean, I had a quick temper. I quit the fight. So they always kept calling me. They was like, man, look, little Cromwell, man, that was Midget Dynamite right there. You know what I'm saying? He's little, he's ready to fight. And I won a lot of fights against guys that were 3 or 4 times my size. So that's where it came from.
And you're down in Nashville, and a lot of our listeners, they're all over the world. They don't understand, man. Nashville, down in Texas, it's pretty brutal with gangs and stuff down there. People not getting along. So that must have been crazy growing up in Nashville. But are you a big country music star, or what do you like listening to down in Nashville?
Oh man, no. Yeah, it's hard growing up. Everywhere's rough. Nashville is just like everywhere else. Everywhere has what we have. But as far as the country music side of things, not a big country music fan, but being from the city of Nashville and growing up here all my life, you've listened to a lot of country in my day.
Yeah. I can only imagine being from Nashville, man. I mean, that's just like the stereotype of things, but my mom's friend actually moved down there, and she's like a huge country music buff now. And even the churches that you guys got down there, it's not like a regular small little church. You guys throw like concerts on at churches, right?
Yeah, man. Definitely. When they say stuff's bigger in the South, it definitely is.
So one thing I got to talk with you about, man, this weekend was wild. The Super Bowl, Patriots versus Falcons. Where were you watching the fight, and what was your take on all that?
Watching the game, we were at my house, my mother's house. I had a bunch of family over because we were celebrating my birthday, so they plus the Super Bowl. So had a lot of family over at my mother's house. We all gathered around and watched the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was crazy event.
Definitely blew my mind. The one thing I like about it was it really showed the true meaning of like what a sport is. Being behind and still finding that motivation to keep going, even though it's mentally hard and you think that it might be all over. It's like a classic underdog story there. I mean, I know it's the Patriots, but still, absolutely amazing, sporting event there. Definitely one for the books. And, my next question for you, man, one of your fights, you went to a draw, and I see that you got 10 takedowns in that fight. How did that end up as a draw?
Man, hey, I don't know, man. I'm not a judge. I'm just a fighter. So I don't judge. So they felt it was a draw. So that's just the way I took it. So it happens. I had to live with it. So just moving on.
And what do you know about your upcoming opponent come Saturday night? Anything? I usually like ask. I don't like trying to beef anything up. What's one thing that you know about your opponent that you like?
One thing that I like about my opponent, well,
yeah.
I know my opponent. We've sparred against each other. We've cross-trained a lot in the past. So one thing that I like about my opponent is that he's a very good guy. He doesn't talk trash. That's just not his demeanor. He's just a good athlete, good person. So nothing to say nothing down about my opponent. He's a very good guy. We sparred, we spoke. So nothing like a little competition where we're actually doing it for real this time.
Yeah, And what would a win over him mean, for you?
Oh man, it's big. Just not just a win over him. Just a win. Period. It's big for me to keep improving and try to get. Trying to get this title shot in Valor and look for a couple bigger more fights before I'm done fighting.
I just saw that you signed, your contract not too far back for a couple more fights. Are you trying to get that gold or what?
Yeah, man, that's the plan. That's the plan. 2017. My goal is to be the Valor champ.
So is this like your full-time gig right now, or are you fighting, all the time at your gym and stuff? Are you helping out around the gym, or do you got something else going on the side?
No. Definitely not my full-time gig. Full-time. I work at. I'm a high school and high school football and wrestling coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then I also like full-time work, day job. I work in Davidson County Juvenile Corrections Center. So I'm a corrections officer.
So do any of the kids know that you're a fighter?
Yeah, man. A lot of them do. So that's pretty cool. They tease me about it.
You get a big support system going out to your fights. Like your family enjoy watching your fights, or are they kind of like, oh my god, I can't watch?
I mean, they enjoy it. When I first started, my mom and when my father was alive, my mom she'd sit there and at the fights and cover her eyes and ask my dad. My dad would say, "Yeah, your mom sat there the whole time with her hands over her face, talking about, is it over yet? Is it over yet? Is it over yet?"
That's awesome. But
she's grown into it now, so now she can dictate, she can call a fight, just like the best of them. So my family, it's grown on them, so they like it.
It's awesome.
Even when I'm not fighting, they're all asking, "When's the next fight? When's the next fight? When's the next fight?"
It's awesome because back in the day, and when I say back in the day, I mean no more than 10 years ago, people really weren't that educated on the sport. Really thought it was more like a vicious gladiator kind of sport, and it is at the end of the day, like it's fighting, but there's so much more to it that really people are starting to understand more of the sporting side of it, and it's a beautiful thing when you don't see people booing because the guys are grappling,
Right.
So, man, your fight's coming up. It's going to be on flowcombat.com. What we like to do at the end of all of our interviews is I hand the imaginary microphone over to you. If you got any shout-outs, any sponsors, your social media, the floor is all yours now, brother.
Man, just want to give a shout-out to my sponsors, my gym, National MMA, my sponsors, Solar Fitness, The Grind Fitness, just places I work with. Also, I want to give a shout out to another sponsor, Middle Tennessee Bulldogs, which is a semi-pro football team that follow me. And then you guys can follow me on social media. My Instagram is Midget Dynamite. Midget Dynamite, and then Midget Dynamite at 145. And also on Facebook, just Cromwell Stewart. And thanks for having me.
All right, guys. So tonight, UFC 208 history is on the line. They opened up this division, obviously, for Chris Cyborg. Then he couldn't come to agreements with the UFC, and they had to fill it in. So a couple of weeks later, they announced Holly Holm versus Jermaine Durandamy. Now, everyone is familiar with Holly Holm. Of course, we remember her from that Ronda Rousey fight where she had that phenomenal knockout straight to the head of Ronda. Unforgettable, but coming off of that fight, she wasn't able to defend the belt. UFC 196 against Miesha Tate, going the first, second, third, fourth round. Couldn't finish it off. In the fifth round, she gets submitted. Tries to go back a couple months later in July against Valentina Shevchenko, who's been on the show before as well, and couldn't put it together. She won the first round, but Valentina, man, she's been a hot rocket lately, deserving the name of Bullet KO. So wasn't able to get the win there, and now the world gives her another chance, falling right on her lap. UFC knocks on her door to say, Holly, we're giving you this chance of a lifetime. 145-pound title, you versus Jermaine Durandamy. What do you think? And she takes it. This is a girl who is undefeated. She made her whole rise through the UFC undefeated up until the fight with Miesha Tate. I don't know what exactly is going on with her. Was it the fame that was getting to her? What was bothering her? That fight with Miesha Tate, She did not want to give up. She literally passed out before she would tap out. Give her heart. That's got to be frustrating, losing the belt like that, especially when everyone was rooting for you. You know, when you go on Regis and Kelly and stuff like that, it could bother you, man. It could change people. Some people just can't handle that pressure. I'm not saying Holly can or she can't, but that was a huge upset. And then she gets a second shot against Valentina. She loses there. I'm a huge believer in checking people's emotions when you're watching the weigh-ins and stuff like that. Holly didn't seem herself to me all week. This is a big chance for her. And that doesn't mean a bad thing that she doesn't seem relaxed, calm. I mean, it could be. But she realizes this is serious. He needs to win this. And Germaine Durandamy, who's ranked 10th right now, who has amazing striking, this is going to be a stand-up fight. I don't want either girl to lose. Germaine Durandamy is on a 2-fight win streak. Her last loss was against the current champion. That was freaking 2013. So, it's a tough one, man. I like Holly Holm a lot, but I'm rooting for Germaine Durandamy to win this one. Probably by third or fourth round, I have Germaine Durandamy winning by TKO. I hope I'm wrong. Hope I'm not wrong. You know, this is one I really don't want to see either girl lose, but I also don't want to see it to go to decision. I actually interviewed Germaine Durandamy a couple weeks ago on Cage Side Submissions. You guys can check that out. And she told me that she's never even seen the UFC belt before in her life. So could you picture that moment of her getting the belt placed on by Dana White? And one of my favorite moments in UFC history was, or in recent UFC history, was Amanda Nunes getting the belt wrapped around her. She was so excited, that raw emotion, that scream that just came out. Or that roar from the lioness, so to say. Beautiful thing. Germaine Durandamy, I am rooting for her here with 6-3 record. She's actually a little taller than Holly Holm, believe it or not. One thing that worries me is Holly Holm's accuracy here, because Germaine is an accurate pot. She has amazing striking, even fought a guy at one point in her career. Has better defense than Holly, if you ask me, and doesn't like taking the risk though. Holly Holm, if you can put it together tonight, you land a takedown, I think that would be her best bet. On the feet, I think Germaine wins. She's a Muay Thai champion. You know, so is Holly though. Holly Holm, kickboxing champion. This is an interesting matchup. But the real fight, and that's going to be in the shadow of everyone's mind, is Chris Cyborg. That's what this division was built for. Chris Cyborg. So the real question is, who do you guys want to see fight Cyborg? Is it Holly Holm or Germaine? When it comes down to that, and I think there, I'm rooting for Holly. I want to see Holly versus Cyborg. Come on, right? So I would love if that story unfolded, but Germaine Durandamy is getting my pick here. Also on this card, the return of the greatest of all time, the GOAT, Anderson Silva versus Derek Brunson. Brunson's coming off that loss recently to Robert Whittaker, who we're actually trying to get on the show for you guys soon. You know, that was in November. He was kind of chasing Robert around. Robert clipped him and dropped. You can't be doing that against Anderson Silva, but Silva can't be playing games. That's one thing that frustrates me about Silva's game. You know, his last 5 fights, he hasn't won a single one. I mean, let's look back. That fight against Nick Diaz, that was a no contest. And then he had that fight UFC 200 against DC. He took that on like 24-hour notice. He lost against Michael Bisping. I still think he won that fight. Shout out to Bisping. That's a huge performance of 2016. One of the best fights of the year. But he got dropped in that fight twice in the first and second round. And I'm not talking about Bisping. I'm talking about Anderson Silva. Bisping dropped Anderson Silva twice in that fight. Let's not forget. But DC getting another win over Anderson Silva. It just doesn't look good. Everyone's picking up wins over Anderson Silva. I think he has a great shot to beat Derek Brunson tonight. Brunson has power, though. You got to watch out for power. But Silva, he is great at avoiding everything. But he's not the Silva everyone remembers. That's what everyone says. I still don't believe it. I think he's a little more shy. He doesn't really want to throw the leg kick. But when he does, man, that hurts. We'll never forget that fight with Vitor. Foot to the face. But the speed and power of Derek Brunson is something Silva's got to watch out for. The counter fighting. Brunson misses. He's got to watch out. Silva can drop him. Very well-rounded fighter. Phenomenal striker. And he's got the speed. We'll see what happens. But the last time that Anderson Silva won a fight was a while ago. Against Stephan Bonner in 2012, believe it or not. After that Bonner fight, we remember the Chris Weidman fight. Weidman came out of nowhere, shocked the world, knocking Anderson Silva out. Never forget that moment. Huge shock. One of the biggest upsets in MMA history. And after that, he gets the rematch. Weidman freaking breaks his leg. I mean, Anderson Silva breaks his leg on Chris Weidman. Gruesome replay if you guys ever want to see that. And then the fight with Nick Diaz at UFC 183 in January of 2015. That was a no contest. We all know what happened there. Diaz was laying out in the octagon. Then Silva makes a return to fight Bisping. Loses that. Then returns for UFC 200. Loses that. Anderson really needs a win tonight. I'm putting my money on Silva, but Brunson has a chance. He has a chance. And if Brunson beats Silva, I think a lot of people are going to sign Silva off in their book. Think that he can't do it again. So I'm really rooting for Silva on this one. Jacare Souza versus Tim Boetsch. Souza, risky fight for him, man. If he loses, it's going to deflate him a lot because he's in the circling for the title against Bisping right now. To lose against Tim, who's been on a streak lately, he's got put together 2 fights recently. He's an amazing wrestler too, and he's got a chin. If you guys think that Souza's gonna bring Tim down, it's gonna be tough. But I am rooting for Jacare to get the submission win. Jacare's last fight against Rafael Natal in November. Before that, he beat Josh Salmon. Rest in peace to him. This is a tough one to pick. A lot of people will think I'm crazy for saying that, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tim does win. I think he has a chance to win this fight. But Jacare, I'm rooting for to win this by submission. Also, Glover Teixeira versus Jared Cannonier. Cannonier's got amazing boxing. He's got speed and he's got footwork, so you got to watch out for him. If you immediately look at this card, you see Glover Teixeira's on there. Find a guy that you're really not familiar with. Teixeira's ranked 3rd in the UFC for this division. Playing against Jared that not many people are familiar with. They're obviously going to pick Glover to win this. But honestly, guys, watch out for Jared. This will be a huge win for him. If he wins, he's going right up to the rankings. He's only has 1 loss. He's 9-1, but let's not lie. Glover Teixeira is a veteran fighter. He's from here in Connecticut, so of course I'm a big fan. He's got amazing jiu-jitsu and striking. Good all around, but he is getting a little older. He's coming off that knockout loss to Anthony Rumble Johnson. Before that, beating Rashad Evans by knockout, Patrick Cummins, OSP. Before that, he lost to Mr. Wonderful Phil Davis. Glover's been really putting it together lately. I got Glover here, but I would not be surprised if Jared does get the win going into decision. They only have 3 rounds, guys. Only 3 rounds. I don't think it's going to go to the 3rd round. I think it's going to be ending in the 1st, possibly 2nd round. Glover Teixeira gets my vote. And then Dustin the Diamond versus Jim Miller. Dustin coming off a loss too. You never want to fight a fighter like Dustin the Diamond coming off a loss. He's a brutal fighter verbally, physically, and mentally. The young gun too. That loss to Michael Johnson, man, the energy that night was up there. Before that, he had the win against Bobby Green, who was kind of mouthing off to Dustin like, come on, hit me. He hit him and knocked him out. Then that fight with Joe Duffy. Diamond gets the win, snuffing him on his walk to try to fight Conor McGregor because there's only 2 losses on Conor's career. 1 to Nate, 1 to Joe Duffy, the Irish Joe Duffy. So the UFC tried signing him, said, listen, if you can get past Dustin the Diamond, we'll give you the shot. He couldn't do it. That was UFC 195, starting off January of 2016. I got Dustin here, man, but Jim Miller, he's got the record for most wins in the UFC, so he's a tough guy. And if he beats Dustin the Diamond, it's going to put him on the top. This is a big fight for him, especially coming off that fight with Thiago. Then he beat Joe Lozon in the rematch. Beat Takanori Gomi. His last loss was Diego Sanchez back in March of 2016. So if Jim Miller gets the win over Dustin, man, that's going to be huge. Dustin's still sitting pretty in 10th. You pick up this win against Miller, he's back in the running, in my opinion. Big fan of Dustin. There's a great documentary out there of Dustin the Diamond Poirier. You guys should definitely go check it out. I think it's floating around YouTube somewhere. But my money is definitely going for the Diamond to win this one. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the next couple of fights. Just a couple I want to point out. You guys can check the UFC Odd Show that I'm doing with the MMA Takeover right after this, if you want, right here on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. Bilal Muhammad, friend of mine from the show. We've interviewed him. He was on the Halloween special we had. He's going up against Brown. Randy freaking Rude Boy Brown, who's 9-1. Very, very well-rounded fighter. Bilal Muhammad made a great debut last year, but he really needs to pick up a win. He's coming off a loss from UFC 205 against Vicente Luque, who sat in as a late replacement. I got to talk with Bilal right before that fight. Very motivated fighter, but he wasn't ready for Vicente. He wasn't training for Vicente, but he wanted to make sure he was on that UFC 205 card. To be on that card meant more to him. Unfortunately, he couldn't get the win together. Got knocked out in the first round. He's returning with a 10-2 record. Bilal Muhammad, you guys may not know, he was a former Titan FC champ. That's why the UFC signed him. He took that short notice fight against Alan Jouban, started coming back in the third round, almost finishing Jouban. After that, he had that fight against Augusto Montano, beating him by ground and pound back in September. And like I said, UFC 205. He wanted to be in that card, got it, but he lost. Well, this is a big fight against Randy Brown. He could surprise a lot of people tonight. Randy Brown from that season of Dana White looking for a fight. You guys can go check it out. A couple more honorable mentions here. Nick Lentz versus Makhachev. That's going to be an exciting one. Makhachev's only got one loss. Amazing wrestler. Nick Lentz, veteran. Ian McCall versus Brooks. Everyone out there has been rooting for Brooks. He didn't get that much of an applaud at the weigh-ins or anything, but the monkey god, Jared Brooks, making his debut as the young gun, only 23 years old, fighting Ian McCall, who actually opened up this division. I don't know how long a lot of you guys have been listening for, but Ian McCall had that fight against Mighty Mouse to open this division up, and I still think Ian McCall won that fight. That was back in 2012. So this could be his last fight as well because he does have hand problems. I am rooting for Ian McCall, but it would be awesome if Brooks wins. So make sure you guys check that out later tonight. Rick Glenn versus Philippe Nover. I've interviewed both of these guys before. Nover was supposed to be the next Anderson Silva. Remember Dana White said that on that season Ultimate Fighter. He's explosive, he's got heavy hands, good submission skills, and he's a nurse to top it all off. Then you got Rick Glenn, who just made his debut in the UFC. This is a big fight for him. A lot of you guys out there are rooting for him, but he's coming off a loss. Evan Dunham. If he can put it together, had a great training camp, this is going to be a great fight. Nover really surprised a lot of people in his last fight against Renan Barão. We'll see what happens there. Make sure if you guys are betting, you do not bet any more than what you can afford. I hope that you guys enjoy the fights tonight and you had a blast on today's show. I want to thank all of our guests on today's show, all the UFC fighters, Chas, Skelly, Charles, Boston Strong, Rosa, Edward, the Ninja, Massey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you had a blast. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pure Evil MMA, Facebook, Pure Evil MMA. Guys, get ready for a historic night. I'm going to be breaking down the odds. You can check that out on Podbean and iTunes. Behave yourselves.